If you complain to your tech-savvy friend that watches LTT that your computer or laptop is slow, chances are he or she will ask you to upgrade to an SSD from the older dinosaur HDD. But which D is right for you? Here in 2022, chances are you're probably using an M.2 PCIe NVMe drive. But there is PCIe Gen 3, and then there's the newer PCIe Gen 4, and also Gen 5 haven't come out yet. What is the difference between all of them? Today I'm going to tell you the top reasons why you should consider upgrading to a PCIe Gen 4 drive from a PCIe Gen 3 drive. Let's get driving. Vroom, vroom. Full disclosure, this video is sponsored by CORSAIR with their CORSAIR MP600 Pro LPX PCIe Gen 4 X4 NVMe M.2 SSD, which they have kindly sent over for demonstration purposes. Everything in this video will still be valid no matter which PCIe Gen 4 SSD you decide to buy. But of course, do check the specs and reviews before making your purchase. A long time ago in a land far away, back in the historic days of 2010, PCIe Gen 3 was introduced. It brought double the bandwidth and speeds from the previous PCIe Gen 2 and was quite a game changer. Then came the new kid on the block, PCIe Gen 4 in 2017, which also doubled the bandwidth and speeds from the previous generation, in this case PCIe Gen 3. Now that we're in 2022, PCIe Gen 5 is already here. However, though Intel 12 Gen already has Gen 5 support, AMD is expected to follow suit just this year. PCIe Gen 4 is still pretty much the standard currently. As for M.2 SSDs, which are the tiny little ones like this, okay, they come in both PCIe, NVMe, and SATA. To find out more about the differences between the two, check out our Your Mother No Teach video on that. Very easy one. But the gist of it is that PCIe NVMe is much faster than SATA, although they are both using an M.2 interface. Now that we're a little more caught up on some background information regarding SSDs and specifically PCIe NVMe SSDs, let's get into the top reasons why you should consider upgrading from PCIe Gen 3 to Gen 4 in 2022. The number one benefit of upgrading from PCIe Gen 3 to Gen 4 is definitely the increased bandwidth. PCIe Gen 4 basically doubles the bandwidth available per lane. For example, our CORSAIR MP600 Pro LPX PCIe Gen 4 NVMe M.2 SSD here has sequential read speeds up to 7,100 megabytes per second and a sequential write speeds up to 6,800 megabytes per second. In comparison, PCIe Gen 3 SSDs have read and write speeds of up to maybe 3,500 megabytes per second. Now let's move on to the reasons, because the reason is you. Reason number one, PCIe Gen 4 SSDs are better for content creators. For video editors and colorists who frequently deal with massive files, it will be much easier to copy media files from your recording devices into your computer for the edit. Also, if you're a real professional, who deals with 4K footage and up, especially with files that have massive data rates such as RAID RAW or ARRI footage, your timeline will scrub much smoother during the edit. This will matter more in the future because even mirrorless cameras and phones can shoot up to 8K. Also, codecs like Apple ProRes might have higher data rates and the file size might be bigger, but they are a lot easier to edit on lower end systems compared to compressed formats like H.264 or H.265 or HVAC. So you might want to transcode to that if your PC is struggling, and your faster Gen 4 SSD will definitely help. Also, you won't need to use proxies anymore if storage was your bottleneck. That should save you quite a lot of time having to prep and transcode all your files before you start an edit. So, yeah. Reason number two, it's better for gamers. I'm talking especially for those who like to play AAA titles like me. Some games can have massive files, which means that the levels can take forever to load if you don't have faster storage options. For instance, in open world games such as GTA 5, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Cyberpunk 2077, Horizon Forbidden West, and Elden Ring, especially at higher resolutions where texture and model files can be bigger, this means that you'll get past the dreaded loading screens much faster. Other than that, the loading of texture files are also faster, leaving you with a seamless and immersive experience, which means you won't have to deal with so many glitches and texture pop-ins, which can make for a funny video compilation for YouTube, but not so much your gaming experience. It could also just be your GPU, VRAM not being enough. So yeah. Reason number 3, it's more future-proofed. If you're building a new system or you're intending to make your current system last as long as possible, upgrading to PCIe Gen 4 will be better even if it may or may not be fully utilized in your current system and your games. Game graphics fidelity is getting better and better as computer tech continually advances, which means that game files are also getting larger and require faster and faster storage devices. The same can be also said about video recording, because walao, now mirrorless can record 8K. Having a storage device that you are not saturating in terms of speed will give you more headroom to deal with future releases and tasks. So yeah. Reason number 4, because this is PCIe Gen 4, it is compatible with PS5. Let's face it, 1TB of storage on a console like the PS5 can run out pretty darn fast, especially if you've opted for the version without the CD, which is the digital version. Also, internet speeds in Malaysia are slower than J&T delivering a package, so you don't want to always having to re-download all your games all the time. Luckily for us, the PS5 is compatible with the compact form of M.2 2280 SSDs like this one, and is able to take advantage of the performance abilities of PCIe Gen 4 SSD. However, they have a pretty strict specs requirement. The CORSAIR MP600 Pro LPX PCIe Gen 4 NVMe M.2 SSD, for example, with transfer speeds up to 7,100 MB per second read and 6,800 MB per second write, will definitely meet all the PS5 M.2 performance requirements. For a quick and easy storage upgrade, this has 2TB and the built-in one has only 1TB, so that will be double the space. Reason almost number 5, like Maroon 5, it has faster application load times. So you're going to get faster window boot times and application load times, which is already super fast on PCIe Gen 3 SSDs. Also, your system could feel a tiny bit more responsive, though probably negligible depending on what you're working on. But hey, if your time is as precious as Jeff Bezos, then upgrade lah. Wait for what? Hashtag get it. Wait for what? Because time. Now that you know the top 4.5 reasons why you should upgrade to PCIe Gen 4 SSDs, here are some very important things to note before you do get that upgrade. Firstly, make sure that your motherboard has PCIe Gen 4 support so that you don't end up wasting your money by having your brand new spanking PCIe Gen 4 SSD to be bottlenecked by a PCIe Gen 3 speeds, because it's actually backward compatible. Secondly, these SSDs can run a little hot compared to PCIe Gen 3 and require a heatsink like this or heat spreader to cool it down. You can buy a removable one if your motherboard cover can already support it, so you can just take it out like that. But of course, it won't provide as much cooling as the fins on the MP600 Pro, something like that, due to the increased surface area with these fins, allowing for more dissipation of the heat. With that being said, it's a new year, a new you, and maybe a new D. We personally recommend this CORSAIR MP600 Pro LPX PCIe Gen 4 NVMe M.2 SSD because we've been using it for a while and it's been pretty solid. Anyways, that's everything I have to say about PCIe Gen 4 SSDs versus PCIe Gen 3 SSDs. If you thought this video is awesome, don't forget to like and share, subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to see more content like this. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok to see more shenanigans from the Mob House crew. Again, my name is Shane, and I'll see you in the next one after I reply to all your comments in the comment section. So remember to leave some comments. Starting in the wonderful world of YouTube. Firstly, we have Divine Jason. He said that if they made an AMD version, he would buy it at a heartbeat. They probably have. I don't know, I need to check. Riri says, my guy's spitting bars. Of course, man, because this is Asian representation. Tifakimi says that high quality video as always. Thank you, bro. Now we move on to the very give face Facebook. Matt Audrey says, beautiful song lah. Thank you, bro. Andrew says, yet another super video because I am Superman. My name starts with S. Hafizul Muhammad Ali says, boleh jadi artis rap Malaysia ni. I am kambing, bro. I am kambing for your ears and your Spotify soon. And that's everything for this comment section. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay, leave more comment lah. You always like to talk east, talk west, but don't want to leave comment. You leave comment that I can comment on your comment ma. You're such a commenter lah.